got your attention now, folks. We are on location in Louisville, Kentucky. You want heavy metal artists? Hear them? We got them. You want tattoo artists? We got them. You want rap artists? We got them. We're at Louder Than Life. Stay tuned. You're going to love it. Hey, gang, while others are waking the dead and being louder than life, I'm standing here with the one, the only, Braden Risco Stewart, a muralist. How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing?
Appreciate it. Yeah. What do you got in your cup?
Actually, it's water because I'm drinking water.
Yeah, you got to stay hydrated during this thing.
Definitely.
So is this your first Louder Than Life?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's great. How you liking it so far?
Oh, I love it. Last weekend I was here for Bourbon and Beyond.
That's great.
So it's still the same feel and good crowd, and I'm just blessed and happy to be here.
So you designed and did this from A to Z behind me, right?
Yes, I did it for the Bullet Bourbon.
You want to talk about it for a moment, what it represents and how you came up with it? Or?
Well, Bullet Bourbon contacted me through Proof Media, and they wanted me to brand one of these art boxes. So I'm a large-scale muralist. I paint live. People like to see what I do. So we painted and I also do tattoos. So it's a good mixture of, the Japanese tattoo side of things and the bourbon industry, which we love so much in Kentucky, and it's so great,
So what drives you to excel in this area? I mean, where's the passion come from?
When people just walk up, just take a picture in front of just a mere sketch, and they think that it's a done piece, and they're just so happy that the art is there and present. Yeah. That puts, the love in my soul.
So was there some inspiration behind all this passion, or was it just something that evolved over time?
It's honestly just something I've done my entire life. Like I said to my brother a couple weeks ago, I was like, man, that'd be really nice if I could paint for Louder Than Life and Bourbon and Beyond. And
there you go.
Look, here I am.
Who knew?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. When was the aha moment? Let's couch it that way.
The aha moment?
When you knew that this is what you wanted to do, a muralist.
I'd probably say like in high school, because my teacher would let me roll out giant pieces of paper and use spray paint. And I was like, you know what? Like doing large scale work with spray paint. Nice. It's something rewarding because it encompasses your whole body. It makes you feel small because you're in a large area.
Sure.
And things like that. People love the art and they love the meaning behind it. It engages with everybody, and that's what I like.
So let me ask you this, Braden. God forbid it's your last gig on Earth. You walk out of this festival tonight. How do you want to be remembered by fans, friends, family you've touched? I know it's a pretty heavy question for this kind of dynamic, but it's our signature question, so I thought I'd ask you.
Good. I want everybody to know that it's okay to love everybody and get along on this same earth. We all breathe the same air. Yeah. Some of us, just lose sight of that, and life's too short, so.
It is.
Yeah.
There's one guarantee, we're all going to go the same way. Wherever we came.
To the stars.
Hey, man, I'm humbled and honored for your valuable time. So what drives you to have what I call ultimate moxie in the Mankini outfit? What drives you to do this? I know you travel around, you've been across the globe.
Yeah, I do travel a lot for myself and for fun. This is all an accident, actually, is what it is. This whole thing was a joke. And I thought it would have been funny. It was a beer pong tournament, and I brought the bikini out as a distraction. The beer pong tournament was lost in a matter of minutes.
Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. Who would have thought?
Right.
And so after that, I left it on for a while and ended up doing an interview with someone, and I thought nothing of it at the time.
Sure.
I was at the Gathering of the Juggalos. Went home, and my Twitter started blowing up. I said, hey, man, you're on Playboy. I'm on Playboy. Why am I
Not
on
me.
Playboy?
Right.
Yeah, you got the wrong one. And I ignored it, and sure enough, a little picture of me popped up, and it said Playboy TV, and it was just me in a bikini.
Oh, my God.
And we said, well, that's you now, unfortunately.
The
whole world is seeing that's who you are. So I embraced it. I ran with it, and it's just kind of something that's continued on, and I ended up doing a documentary on the Gathering of the Juggalos with the BBC. Jeez. They followed me around, and
wow,
it was crazy, and somehow we ended up here because they were the ones that said, hey, we're the wrong ones for this. You should be doing our job. And I said, well, I don't think so. I'm supposed to do it in a bikini. They said, trust me, you've got personality, you've got, pizzazz and charisma.
So the aha moment came when you saw your Twitter blow up, basically?
Yeah, I would say when that happened, I think in the back of my mind, I realized it, but right up front, there was not a realization yet. But back there was like, well, you know, but and it's not one of those things where it happens. You're like, there it is. There's my ticket. I wouldn't have known that.
No, you wouldn't have known. Not this outfit. No, there's no way to know, man.
Yeah, who would have expected that?
No, exactly.
A guy wandering around in a bikini in mosh pits. No.
So I'm trying to think how to couch this question. But what advice would you give to somebody to live their true, authentic self? Because that's what you're doing, in my opinion.
So I will tell you something. That's something I pride myself on. It's my positivity.
Okay.
You can call it a Mankini thing. You can call it a Chris thing. That's my real name.
Right.
Either or. But be you. Be as true as you can to yourself.
Sure.
No matter what that means. I always say, as long as you're not hurting people or animals or like trashing the planet, then do whatever the makes you happy as a human being.
Amen.
If it means wearing a bikini and wandering music festivals, do it. If it means jumping out of an airplane with a parachute on, do it. Do whatever makes you happy. Don't let somebody else tell you who you should be. That's not fair. That's not being true to yourself.
So for a young person looking at this, male or female, regardless of background, or somebody looking at a second career, what advice could you offer them to be who you are today? Or where you are
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. I would say practicing will make you better, but getting out and performing, no one's going to see you unless you're out in the clubs. Get out of town as much as possible. Play with 1 million people. Eventually, you'll find the right group. You know what I mean?
Great.
Definitely push yourself. Try to play live as much, but also with the technology that we have nowadays, try to record as much as possible, critique yourself, and be very, very open to constructive criticism from your peers, and just remember that what we're doing is very maybe taboo, but it's not unique to just us. There's so many of us out here playing, so you need to be able to, find your own voice and do your own thing, and just stick with it, man. That's all you can do.
So I bet there's a lot of guys that could be in your seat when you're dealing with a guy like at the level of Philip. So my question is this: what do you consider to be your biggest accomplishment so far? It can be personal or professional.
For me, my biggest accomplishment is just being able to still being here with Philip. I've been working with him for about 10 years. I'm 29. Awesome. I've been working with him since I was 18 years old.
That's great, man.
I learned a lot.
Traveling and all that.
And just I've spent a lot of time with that dude. So
he's
for me,
a cool
my
guy.
biggest accomplishment is just being an asset to House Core and being an asset to the band.
Absolutely. Derek, how about you?
Well,
he kind
got
of
a few, I guess. Had a couple albums I recorded on Metal Blade Records.
Okay.
I got 2 albums with Phil, my other band, Scour.
Yeah.
And then just traveling the world this year. The most insane crowds, like South America and Europe. Mm-hmm. People going ape shit today, playing these Pantera tributes,
What drives you to excel in your area of expertise? I mean, you've had a lot of dark moments. I read and studied your history. When nobody's looking, where do you find that passion to create?
Dude, it's a hunger inside of me, man. It's a pain, and it's like I feel like I'm a voice for the voiceless.
Yeah.
And I feel like people need a voice sometimes. Like God gave me this thing to be able to speak for people. And I want to speak. It ain't even about me no more. I'm out of it. Sure. It's like, excuse my language. F me.
No,
I'm out of
you
it.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah, cool. F me. I'm out of it. It's all about them now.
So you're just
what
a
can
vehicle.
That's it, man. Listen, man. I'm your Friday night driver, baby. That's it.
So what's been your biggest inspiration, Jelly Roll, and why? It can be more than one, personal, professional.
Dude, I was inspired by life. We'll start there. Honestly, trials and tribulations. I had an 11-year-old daughter. I've got an 11-year-old daughter. Mm-hmm. She was born while I was in prison. I knew I had to do something to change for her. It was a dire need inside of me for her. I have full custody of her. She's here right this moment in the trailer, waiting on me to get back. And
he's coming.
Yeah, no, she's all right. She ain't in no rush. She's glad. She was doing media with me for a minute, but she was like, Dad, it's hot. I was like, whatever. It's cool.
You.
Plus, I want to get drunk, so shoot. But in my defense, her nanny's here.
Yeah.
But nah, man, it's just, and then musically, I think it's what creates my music. Mm-hmm. I was inspired by Southern rock and roll.
Absolutely.
I was inspired by outlaw country music, and I was inspired by hip hop because of my age, So I always wanted to find a way to put all those together.
So when did you discover what I like to call that aha moment, Jelly Roll, when you were just, like you said, I got to do this? When did that hit you?
It was jail. I mean, I did it before then and put out a lot of projects, but about 10 years ago in prison, I was sitting in prison and said, man, I have to do this. I have to do this for my family. And in jail, I would rap, and everybody in jail loved it. So I was like, dude, I'm on to something here, man. I'm speaking for a group of people that need to be spoke for. So.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that. What would be the best piece of advice you'd give somebody watching? I call this Moxie Talks, this interview, you know, younger or older than you, second career, looking at following the path you've taken. What advice would you offer?
Do not give up. No matter what you do, you push forward, you keep pressing, you don't let nothing get in your way.
Nice.
If I told you today you're gonna do this for 9 years for no money, but on the 10th year you'd make $300,000, would you still do it?
Boom.
What if I told you the 11th year you'd make $500,000? This isn't my numbers, I wish.
Yeah.
But what on the 12th year you'd make $1 million? And the 13th year you'd make 1.7. Would you still do it for those 9 years for free? Now, take away the money. Would you do it for 10 years for free? Does it mean that much to you? I'd do this today if they didn't pay me to be here, man.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna sit. They'll kick me out of this media tent before I walk out.
I love
you know
it,
what I mean?
Man. Dude, you are so authentic, man. I love it.
Yeah,
love
dude.
It,
Just be yourself, man.
I love it, man.
I watch these bands come in here and they look cool and they got their glasses on and they act cool, but they're not cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not dissing, I'm being honest. They're not themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they're being who they think the label wants them to be for these people. Like, dog, be true first to thine own self.
Now, this show, Jelly Roll, is called Moxie Talk for a reason, and Moxie is basically, for those watching that may not know, is courage, grit, the ability to push through adversity when nobody's looking, as I say. Where did you experience your first, what I like to call, ultimate Moxie?
You know, I was in one of those situations growing up that it was so much easier to do the wrong thing than the right thing, you know what I mean? And the definition of integrity, like my father taught me, and God rest his soul, Nipsey Hussle taught his daughter, is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's always trying to be a genuine spirit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I know it sounds cliche, but that's why I walk around here and offer people shots. Like, yo, let's have a drink.
Yeah.
Like, the camera, all this. Like, let's be two grown men. Let's have a shot and talk. You know what I mean? Like, let's be, you know, imagine this. Imagine we're at a bar with a microphone. That's why I with you. When you walked up, I was like, yo, I get you. I can tell by your whole shindig. I get this right here. This is my party. I'm on my way.
What drives you to excel in your area of expertise? You know, what I always say is when nobody's looking. You know, when you're rehearsing and it's that day when no one's around, and you got to get the motivation. What drives you?
You know, for me, it is definitely my emotions as far as the lyrics go. So any emotion I'm having, I'll just write it down and save it for later. So when Tony and I go in the studio, we can bring it out of the treasure chest and use it. And then
yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably like fear. It drives me.
Fear's a good motivator.
You know, not really, but like, we want, if we're putting something out, we want it to be good, you know? And the sleepless nights, reworking songs.
Lots of sleepless nights.
Yeah, you know, really rehearsing a lot, you know, getting everything together. So I think it's just, we want something to affect people and impact people. And, you know, in this day and age, there's a lot of stuff floating around there. It's harder and harder to cut through. So I think the drive to cut through and make an impact on somebody, the way that our favorite music has impacted us, I think that's the driving factor for me.
It's great.
Amen, brother.
So when you have when you have a lyric or a melody come to you in your mind, like a synapses fires off, does it come fully formed, or do you have to kind of massage it and evolve it? How's that experience?
Sometimes, yes and no.
Yes.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just a word or a quote.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a full thing, poetry style.
That's lovely when that happens, isn't it?
Oh, of course. And then for you, same?
Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes it's fully formed. You wake up even from a dream and hear a little melody or something like that. It takes a lot of work, though.
He's the melody guy.
Okay. And you're the lyricist?
If I did not have Tony working together, if we were not working together,
chemistry, that's what it's about.
My music would just be no
rap.
Melody.
Monotone,
so he brings
awesome.
in that melody, which is why we work so well together.
So what do you consider to be your guys' biggest inspiration, and maybe why?
You got several, right?
What?
You've got several inspirations.
I have several, so how about you go first?
Oh man, that's tough. I
mean, Depeche Mode.
I mean, yeah, musically, it's all over the board. The Beatles.
Sure.
It always comes back to the Beatles. I mean, they really wrote the book on melody, great 3-minute pop songs in a rock format. growing up with Metallica, Pantera, Depeche Mode. All
He was a metalhead when he was in high school.
You're in the
he
right
had
festival.
hair down to here.
Oh, really?
He was.
I have right now. Yeah.
And then for me, it's all over the board.
Okay.
I like The Kills, Marilyn Manson, and then for aesthetic, I love Salvador Dali and Edgar Allan Poe. So that's where kind of like our darker theme kind of comes into play.
Sure.
Garbage, again, Depeche Mode. There's just so many. The list goes on. There's so many greats.
So is there a song in your all's library that kind of captures your essence as a musician or as a musical group?
We are blessed to have a very diverse, eclectic sound. And so the shades of me particularly go from song to song. There's no one song that says this is the full embodiment of who I am as a person or an artist, or full embodiment of who we are as Fire from the Gods. Every song on every record just shows a little bit of a different side of us. And we all become different people when we play those different songs.
I got you. So I like this next question. It gives you a lot of insight to the audience of how your brain works, in my opinion. If you could have dinner with anyone, AJ, living or deceased, who would it be and why? It can be more than one. It can be a buffet, liquor, no liquor.
Deceased, man. I'd love to chill with Bob Marley, man, with the man himself. My dad grew up in Trenchtown in Kingston, and so he was able to see Bob coming up,
Wow.
So I heard the stories as a youngster, and I grew up around reggae music, and so for me, Bob has been a major, major inspiration in what I do as a person and who I am as a musician. So I would love to chill, man, smoke a spliff with Bob and just, kind of just vibe. Nah, I'd like, bring everyone around. Jamaicans, that's what we do. My folks are Jamaican, so I'd love to have everybody around. You know what I'm saying?
A big feast.
Exactly.
I love it. So this next question is pretty heavy for a music festival, this kind of dynamic, but it's our signature question. I don't let anyone get out of the hot seat, the guest seat. So here we go, 350 of these roughly MoxieTalks interviews. God forbid, AJ, you walk out of here today. Not only it's your last gig, your last music festival, it's your last day on earth. How do you want to be remembered by family, friends, fans, band members? How do you want to be remembered?
That I fought and I didn't give up to the last second.
Yeah, I like
I'm
that.
a fighter and a survivor.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I'm here with co-founder of the Crystal Method, better known as Scott Kirkland. Welcome to MoxieTalk. Is this your first Louder Than Life, or have you been here before?
This is my first Louder Than Life. I have been in Louisville. I played Louisville not that long ago, but I've been doing the festivals with the crew here that started out in Rockville back in May, went to Epicenter, and here today, and then off to Aftershock in Sacramento in a couple weeks. So yeah, I'm having a great deal of fun. It's been a unique experience to go out and play my music, the Crystal Method's music, and the music that's really based in our sound to different crowds, different. I mean, it's like me and Ice Cube are the two the outsiders here, and I'll take that.
That'll work. We could also lower the temperature a little bit. That wouldn't hurt either.
Listen, if somebody wants to turn a fan on us, I won't be unhappy with the concept. But yeah, that was I see the breeze. You can't see it. Oh, you can see it. You get a little bit of the palm trees are moving around a little bit.
So what inspired you to get into the dance music scene, electronic music? When you came along, it was going, and you've been able to maintain it for over a quarter century.
Well, really, when I started out, don't get into centuries, but decades. It's been but when I started out, I was a kid that I appreciated the heavy metal and rock, and what really kind of turned me was Depeche Mode's Black Celebration. I just love the cinematic sound of it. It wasn't dance music in any way. It was electronic rock. Cinematic. It had, energy. It had ideas. It had, it had concept. I mean, I really got into a lot of those early records of bands, like Metallica and Queensryche, and that way you were taken somewhere. Again, with Black Celebration and then on with Violator, two of my favorite albums. It was like you were. Each song was curated felt like there was interludes or moments that gradually took you to the next song without it just being some abrupt change. So it just spoke to me, and then started going to LA to work on music with Ken back in the late 80s and early 90s, and started going to raves. Started going to those illegal raves that you'd find down in the warehouse districts, and just fell in love with the idea of the community, the randomness of the crowd, the everybody getting together, and no strife, no struggle, no reason to be anything else but someone who appreciated where they're at and enjoyed the people that were around them.
Now that you've gone out on your solo act aspect of it, what drives you to keep on, excelling and moving forward?
I used to watch bands on TV, MTV, and go to concerts a lot, and I've always loved the idea of playing music for people. I love people. I love the idea of people, reacting and experiencing something, the collective experience. So, what drives me is the opportunity to play for new people, to reacquaint myself with those that have been fans for years. Oh, yeah, I saw you in Tucson in 2003, or here's my kid. That's always been a weird one. But it's always been about the music first, and then the opportunity to share that music with other people.
When was that aha moment when you knew, and you kind of referenced it earlier, when you knew there was nothing else you could do in life? You had to do music. This was your future.
The aha moment? It was probably just, there was never one particular moment for me. It was just discovering that band Silverchair in Australia. That was probably like the kickstart thing. But I think it was just that, you go to school, which is a great thing, yes, do school. Yes. But once you finish, it's kind of like when you're that young, you don't know what the rest of your life's gonna look like, and it's very hard to decide at that age. You know what I mean? But for me, I think that moment was the fact that there was no question. I just wanted to do it, and we just did it, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Good.
I like what she said. I don't. There's, how life goes. There's never really. Sometimes there is. You have an epiphany or whatever. But I think with a lot of musicians, you kind of go through phases, and you have experiences that are stick out, and you always remember those experiences, and then they grow into what ultimately becomes what you do, I guess.
So while you got the mic down there, Mark, I'll ask this question to you. What do you guys consider to be your biggest accomplishment, either as a band or individually?
I don't know.
That's a good thing about having a group interview. You don't have to be the only one.
I guess still being asked to play festivals like today.
That's a great point, and, absolutely, because that says you're good.
I think that's
the
biggest thing, just to be able to, put out records and then tour them and let everyone hear them and see them live. I think that's what every band loves, playing your songs live and sharing the experience with your fans, basically.
I think it's a great one. So here's a question for you. It's really offbeat. What makes you guys lose your sense of humor? Anybody who first thing comes to your mind?
What makes us do that?
Not as a band, it could be as an individual. I love this question because I think it shows a lot of who you are as a person.
I have a strange thing that when I don't get enough sleep, this is probably for everybody, but something strange happens in my brain and I get really cranky and I can't control it. I'm just I'm just in a really bad mood.
How about you, Ryan?
I mean, just kind of general life stresses, I guess, because we're always an upbeat band, but we're pretty low key. We're not crazy, whatever, but we always, I think humor is everything in life, whether it's a relationship or a band is a marriage too, but so we always try to have a sense of humor because that's just what we do and we're goofy like that. But yeah, just different stresses in life. Adulting, things like that sometimes happen, but
so I like this next.
Gotta get serious for a minute.
I like this next question. So I'm curious how you're going to answer this. How did you guys and lady name this band? I love it. There's got to be a story to how you came up with the name.
If I'm being completely honest, which I want to be honest, there really wasn't a great story. It was just, when we were in high school, there was a list of really terrible names, and then Sick Puppies was part of it, and it just seemed a little like, it just seemed really immature, yet memorable. And then we were always meaning to change it, because we were like, it's kind of dumb, and then we never changed it.
If you like what you've seen here, check out more at MoxieTalk.com. You won't be disappointed. So when was that aha moment, as I like to call it, Tim, when you realized that this is what I've got to do with the rest of my life?
Probably after the first show I ever played. You know, I started playing in bands when I was probably about 14.
Wow, man.
And as a drummer, and probably the first time that I had to drive somewhere that was a couple hours away with all my drums and set up in front of people and play. I think that was it, you know? I mean, it's just, yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone younger than you, or maybe someone starting their second career, older than you, male, female, regardless of socioeconomic background or ethnicity? What advice would you offer them to get into this business?
As far as playing music, I mean, it's a lot of, what do they say about luck? It's you know, being prepared and
when opportunity and preparation meet, that's luck or something like that.
Exactly. The preparation is key.
Yeah.
You need to have passion for what you're doing. You need to be sort of, I've always felt like the people that I meet out on the road were the outliers, the ones that were more focused on it than other people, maybe. And then, you know, as far as me personally, I was in the right place at the right time as far as joining the band. So I was lucky in that sense. And I was prepared to go, you know. So I would just say practice, 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 you know.
So what do you consider to be, and this could be personal or professional, Tim, what do you consider to be your biggest accomplishment so far?
You know, I look at where we've come as a band in the 15 or 16 years that I've been in the band, and I would probably have to say that how far we've come has been one of the greatest accomplishments of my life.
I love it, man. I love it. Now, this next question's a bit offbeat, but I always love to see kind of your knee-jerk or organic response to this. No gotcha, but what makes you lose your sense of humor, Tim?
What makes me lose my sense of humor? I'm not a big prank guy.
You know, I'm not either. I have never, like when you're little, it seems like you get pranked more. I have never.
Not a big prank guy. I have the greatest sense of humor in the world, but it flips, a switch flips when someone's like screwing with me.
Amen, brother. I mean, man, I go postal.